Scano, Sego, nice to see all of you beautiful women. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to everyone who will be showing up, if not in the next minute or two, um, later, and even after this evening. This is always a good way to share information and time together, if not in this moment, down the road, when we can look back and reflect on what we spoke about together today in the circle, and to see, later how it really played out in our life, and the effects maybe it had. So thank you so much for joining. And Grandmother Renee, if you could step in and welcome us like you always do.
Thank you. Sego, Sewa Guego. Ganadisa Youngits. Wagazione. Oh, I'm so happy that women are starting to gather. Not only women, men and youth, they're reconnecting. They're feeling that vibration. Something is unfolding, and so I hope you have your water, because this is a time of acknowledging your water, the powerful time of your acknowledging your water. I hope you have your candle. If you're inside, usually sometimes when we're outside, we have our fire going, and your medicine. You can do ceremonies. If it's too cold out, you can always do ceremonies. And ceremony means just giving thanks to that relationship to all creation, and that's our purpose in life. As simple as that is to give thanks. And so we will begin. I always ask everyone is to take that 3 deep breaths, because what we are doing is we're connecting ourselves, we're slowing ourselves down, we're getting ready for ceremony. It's just like, when you've been in a relay race, you have to take that, give you that power to continue that journey. And so we take some 3 deep breath, one for the spirit world, one for the physical world, and one for the future. And so we take that deep breath. Take another deep breath. And we take another deep breath. This, in a way, is your ceremony. How your body gets you prepared for ceremony. How you connect to the higher power. How you connect to all the universe. And you always wonder why people want to get high. Well, this is what that natural high is. That natural high of taking those deep breaths, centering yourself, and being in relationship with the two worlds, but also the future. And so we gather up our minds. This is what they say, Deitina Walada. We come together, we bring our minds together. And so doing those 3 deep breaths was always just to calm ourselves down, because some of you may have been rushing just to be here. Some of you may have been all scattered and having to run about and do everything. So this is a moment when this is what the Creator calls self-care. And taking those deep breaths was also to renew your spirit. It's just like when you have a little low fire, you have to go and bring it back up. And so this is what we did. Even in birthing, that breath is so important. And when you're in pain, you go. When you're angry, and so we're bringing forth life. And so at this time, I'd just like you to close your eyes, and we're going to bring in Grandmother Moon. And we see that big, beautiful moon up into the sky. We see the snow. We see the trees, as some of them are covered in snow. We look around and we see that it has been the freezing moon. And yes, this past week it was very freezing moon. The moon, the name of the moons are coming back again. And the freezing moon was also to go inward. And so at this time, this is what we did when we took that deep breath. We went inward. And so we come to that time when we're going to give thanks. Because when we look and we see with our heart, we see all these things that have been here since the time of the beginning of life. And so at this time, we put our minds together and we look around and we see that they're all fulfilling their duty. You know, it's so beautiful when we say these words. It's a self care gift to us to say the thanksgiving, to say thank you. And when you start saying thank you, your whole life will change. Some of you are feeling a little challenge and chaos. So at this time, we give our minds to this time and this space, this place, to gather up and say thank you. So we look and we see that we are all here. We give thanks to each and every one of you. To all the people, we give thanks. We look and we see that no matter where you are, we like to thank you for being a part of tonight. We thank your family. We thank your community. We thank all those that had those of your ancestors, and we acknowledge them. And so at this time, we acknowledge our ancestors too that is here. And so we say thank you. Now we look and we see what a magnificent gift we have. Right now, she is covered in her blanket of snow. She is resting because as women, we are always on the go and are always giving. And so it is a time of self-care. She is she is in need of self-care so that we can have life. And so we like to thank her for taking this time to rest. And to all your mothers and to all your women, always acknowledge that time for rest because it is a sacred gift so that you can give forth all your gifts and your fruit of life. And so we look and we see that she is still fulfilling her duty. Now we look and we see that each of you have done as every woman has. You have come to that time when you have given a gift of renewing your life. And it was called it had many names. Oh, our grandmother has visited us. We have our moon time. We have our period. It's given a lot of names, but I always like to hear the grandma has come to visit. And so this, when you have that moon time, it was a very special sacred time. And so it is with our ceremonies. And so we give thanks that at this time, you know, the women, they're being renewed. Us women, we were given that gift, a very special gift because the Creator knew that we were going to be, um, as they say, being on call 24/7. And that's the way our Mother, the Earth, is. She has never neglected us. She has never denied us. She is always looking after us. Even though she's sleeping right now, she has left us, as they would call in today's language, a lot of those helpers. Some would refer them as babysitters to make sure that we're going to be okay. And so, as we are renewing our life right now, we give thanks. Many of you are in your moon time, and we like to acknowledge and give thanks to that gift, that very special gift, because it regulates all the things that is going on in your body. Many of you have been going through a lot of challenges. Some of you have had backaches and all these things, but it was always to remind us that we are to take time and put our feet up and to love ourselves and to take care of ourselves. And so we like to acknowledge that mother that she is resting. So it's a very symbolic meaning to us as nurture givers. We need to take time for ourselves. And so we give thanks for that blanket of snow. We give thanks for those ones that are standing on guard to help her through this time. And so we like to thank all her love that has been flourishing all year round. And through that love, that unconditional love, she has given us so much that we do not realize at this very moment how much she has given to us so that we can continue our lives. And so we give thanks. She has given her love through all these things that we hear, we smell, we taste, we feel, we touch. All these things is always to lift our minds whenever we're grieving, to help us to get through each time. And so this is a time of releasing. And so as grandmother had gone through grief, she knows how it can affect her outcome of her daily life. And so this is why she is visiting us, so that we renew ourselves, so we release a lot of the grief And that is those tears. And today I wear my gift of the tears. And so it is with such love that she has provided our food, everything that you see about us. And so at this time, I feel that love is so strong. I feel the wind. I feel this, all these things that has given each of us life, that has supported us. And so we give thanks for those special helpers. Some of you have looked and saw medicines that are still out there, that are still growing. Oh, we are so lucky because the cedar is there for us during the winter. But there will be other medicines. So he is standing guard for now so that we're never without. And so everyone takes their time and their role and their responsibility throughout the year, because grandmother has always assigned someone to look after us and our mother, the earth. You see, those two women are very, as they say, one is supporting the other. And so we give thanks. We give thanks for all the food, the sustenance that they are providing for us. And may they continue. And put that in your words when you give thanks. May they continue. May those seeds remember their purpose in life is, and that is to give us health, wellness. And in our way, we say peace, power, and righteousness. And so we give thanks. We give thanks to all those medicines that is out there. Just as I said, the cedar is the powerful medicine at this time, and we like to say thank you. And also the bear medicine. There is so much medicine, and that is why we always say thank you to all those plant life, to all the animals, to all those trees and barks and twigs and all those roots. And we say thank you for giving us resources so that we can make it through. There's times when our body is tired. She has given us the medicines to relax us, and so we give thanks. Now we look and we see all the different grasses. They are also asleep. And if you'll have noticed, when it starts to get this time of the winter before the snowfall, it is like all the grass, they kind of huddle together to cover her, as in like another blanket, an insulation blanket, and then the snow will cover her. I have looked and saw how the grass, they kind of go and they wrap themselves close so that they can keep her warm and be preparing for the coming seeds. And so we give thanks. We look and we see all these small bushes, how they are providing safety, security for all those that are out there. You see, they live without hydro like we've gotten used to. They live in that natural element, and so we give thanks to all those ones that are sheltering and giving them a place to be protected from the cold and the wind. And so we give thanks. We look and we see all the trees, all the different trees that come from different families, and how they are also resting, because they have a job to do too for us, and that is to give us the gift of renewing our lives. And so we look at it and see that the oxygen that is needed to help us be of that, as they say, of that gift of newness. And so we give thanks. We look and we see all the different fragrance and all the different colors, how they come to lift our minds, to help us to get through the grief that we carry. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful. Now we look and we see all the animals, from the two-legged, the four-legged, the winged ones, the fin ones, the crawlers. And so we give thanks to all of them, because they are taking care of our mother, the earth, because man has forgotten how to look after her. So the animals will always come and they will protect her, protect the medicines, protect. But they are now being harmed because man does not understand. And so we pray for the continuation of their families, and that they also continue their work by looking after our mother, so that she can in turn look after us. And so we give thanks. We look and we see all this water that has come. It has come from the sky realm. It comes and creates a little stream, which turns into a creek, which turns into a river, which turns into a lake, and then an ocean, and it returns back to the sky realm. And so we give thanks before there is water in all creation. We would not be able to be here today because even the essence of our breath is filled with water. And that is the last gift we give back to the earth is our water. And so we give thanks that it is still flowing within us. And so we look after our waters within us. And that is by using kind words. This is why we do those words, thanksgiving, thank you, miigwech. We say those words because it is the water that is in needed of our bodies to be well. And so we give that kind words to ourselves. For we know that the first language is of love, and so we think of love. For they give us love and look after us with love. And so we say, we are very grateful that you are still fulfilling your duty. We see the birds, they now are resting, for they tell us when the breaking of the morning, and they will greet us, and they will sing their songs. But they also tell us of warnings, of changing of weathers, and the changing of our spirit. For when you are sad, there is always going to be someone that'll hear your voice and they will sing you a song. But we have forgotten how to listen. For I always remember that whenever I am feeling, there is someone that's going to always be nearby to sing me a song or to let me know that they care. It may be a butterfly, it may be a hummingbird, but know that there is always someone to notice. And maybe a rabbit that crossed my path that has watched us when we're in that time. And so I give thanks. Now we look and we see that all these things that has manifest our food, our sustenance. What a gift to be given because they were given the instruction to take care of us. But man has interfered and has caused seeds that does not have that purpose as the original seeds. And so we have lost our health and our wellness because of the interruption of the seeds that are here today. And so we talk to those seeds too and remind them that they were given a purpose, and that is to make us well. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful. Now we look and we see, we raise our eyes up into the sky world, for we have taken care of everything that is here on the earth plane. Now we will look and we'll see. There is the sun, our eldest brother, who watches over us. And that is a good example that we never walk alone, for there is always a shadow that shows us that we are always, someone is always with us. And then we look and we see how the sun has bring us the nutrients forth in all creation so that they can also provide comfort to us. And so we give thanks. The sun, he watches over us all day. It's just like having an older uncle or a father that some may not have, but we have that male image taking care of us. And so that we give thanks. Now he journeys across the sky. He now turns it over to his sister, who is Grandmother Moon. And Grandmother Moon has had a long history with us. She has gone through all the challenges that you face today, and that is why she asked to be put back up in the sky world, so that she can help you to overcome and understand what is happening in your life. And that is why we say 3 days before each changing of the moon, there is going to be chaos. And 3 days after will be the time of renewal. So we give thanks for that beautiful moment of renewing our spirit, the beautiful opportunity to use our tears, for we have forgotten how to use that water that is in us. And so we give thanks. We give thanks to the helpers, the stars, for they are shining so brightly. They are the ancestors speaking to us. And there are many that are looking up into the sky world now, asking questions. And so it is so that we will speak to them again and we will hear them. And so tonight, may you see those stars. May you hear them, what they are saying to you. It is time. It is a time of spiritual awakening. It is a time to change, bring big change to your life. And so we give thanks. Now we look and we see the thunder beings. Oh, how kind they are to us, for they know that we need fresh water, for they know that we need our land to be taken care of. the land, the air, and the water. So they come to renew it, and so we give thanks. We thank the thunder beings with their helpers, the, the lightning bolts, for they also are our protectors. But many have looked at them as being um, not so good, and so they have forgotten the purpose of those helpers. And so we thank them, and that they may continue to look after us. May they continue to look and clean the land, the air, and the water. And so we give thanks. I am giving you the long version because we need to remember all their duties and how they give us love. And this is what the ancestors have said. Tell them why we give thanks at this time. And all when we wake in the morning and when we speak during the afternoon, it's just always be in that place of being grateful for all around us is a helper, is a symbol of love. But man is has forgotten, and so they are very sad today. So we need to bring back those reminders of all our helpers that they have never been here. They have never been abandoned. They have always been loved. And so we thank all those beings that has been a part of our each day. Now we look and we see sometime in our life where there has been one that has been a mentor. We all have been mentors, and you are a mentor right now because you are in ceremony. You are being here to renew your life, and so you will become that mentor that is needed for tomorrow's. And so we give thanks because there was one in ours, Scotty DeLeo. You know, he was a human being, and I'm so grateful that we have that story of him. It tells of the story of this man. He was a great leader, and just like all our leaders, sometimes they they make choices that is not good for us. And so as a result, he had fallen from grace. But the Creator didn't give up on on him. The Creator sent him messengers to help him to see and to make change for that path he was following. Just like tonight, we are making change for our path, our future path. And so we give thanks that he brought forth the message on how to be a good human being again. You know, we are reminded again to put aside all those negativities. And so I always like to I thank this human being that the Creator took upon himself to give him that, to brush him off and stand him upright, because in the eyes of the Creator, all of us I have a purpose, and so we give thanks. Now we look and we see the four beings that have brought us here to the earth plane, and they walk with us as we travel about. And they are always there to look after us. And so we say thank you. Thank you for taking me safely home. Thank you for guiding me on my journey. And so we look and we say thank you. For I know they will come and get me when it is my turn to return home. And so I say thank you for being there. For you have taken our loved ones back home. And so I say thank you. Now we think of all these things, that the one who has provided all this, for he knows what it was to be in sadness and grief. So he give us all these things to help us, to support us, and to guide us to being, as they say, of a good mind and have peace and health. And so we say, if there is anything that I have forgotten at this time, use this time and thank someone that has done you, that has supported you, that has helped you. In that time, what we are doing now is building that spiritual fire that is needed, for there are many that are in need of it. And so at this time, we are in ceremony for all those that have forgotten how to give thanks. And we say, "Oho, now, miigwech." And so at this time, we often at this time, we'll send off a prayer for all those that are in need of a support, guidance, understanding, and healing. And so we say, "Oho, nyawa, miigwech." So you see why we need to take those times, because we got caught up in being so busy that we made ourselves sick, that we have made ourselves stressed out. We have caused disease to our bodies. And so this is why it's so important just to take a moment. How many of you give thanks to your body when you wake up? How many give thanks for your hands? How many give thanks for your legs that has made you able to walk upon the earth? How many give thanks for their eyes and their ears? You know, when you get old, you really appreciate it. You have to go like this because we need those gifts. And our gift to smell. Oh, you can smell winter. You can smell the changing of the season. We need that. That's medicine. To smell the cold. You know, when that cold wind comes and it hits us right here, it's like there's a button here, and when it hits us, it it creates all these happy little cells because it is building up our immune system. And this is why a lot of children are getting sick, is because they're not outside anymore like they used to. How many of you, when you were little, you were outside? You were outside playing. And we hardly ever got sick because we were always, the weather had always prepared us for 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 the seasons. And so we give thanks to this moon that has been, that is the time of the bear, because sometimes we have to remember to be a bear. A lot of people have forgotten how to hug. A lot of people were not taught how to hug. And the most important is giving someone a teddy bear. Man, my bed is starting to fill up with teddy bears because I've been given a lot of teddy bears, and so I have my own set of teddy bears, and it comes in handy when you are feeling a little low, because that's the way our arms are. We need to hold something when we need that courage and that strength to know that we're not alone. And so I say, now to the bear. This is why it's called the bear moon, because how many of you have the teddy bear? How many of you have think of that bear? And I forgot to mention, I am a bear of the bear clan, and so I send off this big bear hug to all of you. Oh,
Hmm. Noah, oh, you're so amazing. And since we're thanking everyone, I'm just introduce myself. And then I'd like to thank all of you sisters for answering my call today. Um, and so Scano Jody Nigasso, I'm Jody Harbor, and I'm Bear clan on my great grandma's side, which was my dad's side, and I'm really grateful for these four women that have joined me today, and grateful for the words that you shared, Renee. I know my spirit needed that reminder today, even though I know I do think in the mornings now. I've developed a pretty good habit of just taking that extra time in bed to do that, take that time. There might be one or two times where I fly out of bed like I'm late at something, but usually during the day I'm reminded. Um, but I just want to acknowledge you, Renee, for just always being here, for not just me, but for so many. I want to say thousands of people that I know. How you've been a mentor to, a guide for, support for. But for me specifically in this moment, I want to thank you for being here and supporting this and Andrea Curley. I met Andrea. I don't even know. I want to say 6 years ago now, and you too always answer the phone for me and answer my call, and I'm really grateful that you're here today. And I know there's a lot of people that follow Grandmother's Voice that know you and know the amazing woman you are, and loyal sister, and uh, and the other two ladies as well, Pamela. I'm just started to get to know you, and you're amazing. I'm really happy that you're all here, and you'll be able to share in a second who you are, a little bit more about just about what you're doing, and because this moon, from what I know, and I think that the reason I'm doing this is there was this call for me, like a nudge, and this morning it was really hard, a really hard push that was like, no, you need to it's not just for you, but it's for so many other sisters that I've talked to over the last few months that have said that it's really important to make this space, and not just for women. We're creating this space for all people. And because like Renee said, we're all needing this space right now. And so Pamela Devonshire, I'm just really honored to have really started to get to know you, and you're a beautiful sister. So thank you for being here. And Faith Hale, just full circle for me. Meeting you and the support that you bring to me is really amazing. And so today, like I said, I realized that today was the moon was in Leo. I don't really know what that means, but I'm a Leo. So I was like, hey, I need to do something today. And so, I hope that something Andrea and I have been talking about for a couple of weeks now. I want to say it's been a couple of years, I think, really, but we've been really busy. And we just know that we want to create this space for women, for sisters to show up for each other. And we can't always get outside in cold weather. And so we know that this space, um, this virtual space, has supported a lot of people over the last few years. So um, committing in this moment that we will be sharing more time together at some point in time. So before we just kind of share more about maybe what this moon means, or well, actually, I'll share a little bit now so that maybe you can tell a little bit about your story as you're introducing yourself. And I think it'll just be a good flow. But when I, kind of look back into my notes about this moon and in my past, it's really about bringing women together at this time of year. And what I remember reading in one of my calendars, I think it was from it could have been Past the Feather, or one of those beautiful calendars that they send out. It said, one of that it's a time to bring like-minded women together, to start to plan and think about what our year is going to be like, creating time together, to create things together, to create events and activities to keep us connected. So, I'm always interested to hear what my sisters are doing in their lives. So I'd like to just take this opportunity to, say, hey, tell us what you're doing in your life, who you are, and uh, and how the moon affects what you do and who you are. Andrea.
Oh my God. Sego, Sewaguego, Migazo, ONGO. Andrea from Six Nations, the Grand River Territory, Onondaga Beaver Clan. When I met Jody, I was helping out with different gatherings in Six Nations, very community minded with bringing people together. One of my mentors that I met when I was like 15 years old kind of nudged me and said, as long as the people are gathering, they need places to gather. It's not, it is about who's up on stage or who the keynote speaker is or what the workshops are, but it's that sitting beside each other and being in company and meeting one another, being with each other. That's the most important part of the gathering. So I was always kind of keen on event planning. Right now, I am in Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I left Six Nations almost 4 years ago for a job. I was with the gaming through DevCorp, and I left that job as I was invited to submit resume, letter of interest to coordinate a 10-year cohort gathering of Indigenous women that went to a certain Indigenous leaders program at St. FX University in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. So that was 10 years of cohorts of Indigenous women from across the country. It was a national program. And I left 3.5 years of secure work to do a 6-month contract. And they kept me interested enough to keep me. uh, so I made this, provincial move, not really with a plan, but just followed my heart, I guess, and my guts and my feelings. Okay, it's okay to go. I'm mother of two sons, grown 26 and 22, and if they weren't good, I wouldn't be able to leave. So I kind of pat myself on the back for that, almost daily, because you know can send a text and won't get a text back until I'm finally like, text me back, send me an emoji or something, So I try to keep in touch, probably more than I should, but I mean, I'm a mother and that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So they're good, coming into their own. And I'm here now with a new job. I left Cody International Institute, was there for almost 4 years, and my contract come up this past December. When I just graduated myself with the Master's of Education in Administration and Policy. I walked across the stage in December there as well, and then within 3 weeks, I'm with Cape Breton University now as the In Business Atlantic Region Manager, which is a very cool program. It is national. Right now, because of COVID and funding, I'm only covering the province of Nova Scotia. So in future, it could be looking at Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick as well. So I was thrown in with less than 4 weeks to start the opening conference, a 4-day conference with less than 4 weeks to plan. And my boss told me on Friday, which has only been our second meeting, I think, since I started about that, because I've onboarding and HR and all that stuff that goes with, working for the institute, for a university. She said to me, wow, you're not only flying the plane, you're building the plane, because I have so many ideas that I want to incorporate when I look at my responsibilities for things like reporting, at the end of it, what was really done. And I looked and researched the program, and it's an amazing program. What it is, it captures grade 11, 10, 11, and 12 high school students who may be interested in business and finding out from an Indigenous perspective, what is Indigenous business and what does that look like. So it's bringing Indigenous speakers from all over Canada, which I happen to have been privy to meeting so many people in the last, well, I don't know, 30 years that, kind of have this roster of people or resources in my mind across Canada about what they do, and really excited to bring that to life, this opening conference. So the program is students sign up. It's really working with Indigenous students in high school and sparking their interest in business and what that looks like. And it's a really cool journey to be able to talk to the mostly women, but I've been talking to some men here in the last couple of weeks that are in some type of business, whether it's for their band or for their own personal business, their own entrepreneurship and whatever else. And, being a single mom of 2 kids, I've had to hustle myself. So I know all about catering company. I ran, cleaning for people, or working at a restaurant for like 15 years off and on. I think I was fired 3 times for not showing up for a shift, in like 20 years of working with that restaurant. Things like that, and just being able to share that journey of it is a hustle. The life journey is a hustle, and it is busy, and it is what grandmother Renee was talking about, the challenges and the mistakes, and I think of that in a personal journey, our challenges and our mistakes and our flaws, are the most beautiful things about us, especially if we're a person that can, reflect and bring forth emotional intelligence and bring forth, learning and questions about self and all these things to be able to reset and assess who we are and who we want to be. And I'm 48 years old, and I've always feel like I've been on this journey of wanting more and wanting better and never understanding where it's coming, but understanding that I can ask for what I want to. I can manifest and I can speak to my ancestors, And I was had a Reiki session, and the woman said, "Oh wow, you've been doing a lot of ancestral work," and I was like, what does that even mean? Like, why'd she say that to me? And I've had to think to myself, what have I been doing? And what I've been doing is just saying, or thinking of a person that I lost, or thinking about Gaiweo, and thinking about the trails of the amounts of ancestors and where that comes from, or even just saying out loud, like, hey, whoever's with me, uh, I need to talk to you. And I'll just talk out loud. And so to me, I didn't know or think that was ancestral healing, but I really feel like it is, because, that connection, that was talked about through all these physical things that Mother Earth gives for us to be here. And so, I really feel like the manifestation is also the belief in the relationships, and knowing that it's not only the physical things, but also the vibes and the essence of who's with us, when that we cannot see, that we cannot touch, but that we feel and that we can relate to. And I really believe that my life journey has always been a process of moving forward because of that belief and that exercise of building the habits of not just saying my ancestors, but really feeling like they're here. Um, Maybe it's one, and they're probably always like, do you ever see that meme where the angel's like, just tired? That's probably like my ancestors too. Because I'm far from perfect, but I'm fun.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
I'll just leave it at that. Sorry, I kind of took more of it.
No, it's perfect. It's always perfect. Our conversation's always, it's like an hour later. Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
actually is wonderful to just lead into to introducing Pamela, because I met Pamela through a beautiful friend of ours. We know Paula, and she messaged me and said, Jody, you have to meet this woman. You're gonna love her. And since then, we like, it's true, every time I think I do something, I'm like, oh, Pamela would like this, and there's something to say about that. And your journey is beautiful, and it's all about your ancestors. So yeah, introduce yourself, Paula or Pamela.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jody. And thank you for inviting me this evening. I'm really honored to be here, and nice to see you again, Grandmother Renee. And nice to meet you, Andrea. And nice to meet you, Faith. And good evening and hello to everyone who's watching us. So I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Pamela Devonshire. My community is the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, Tyendinaga. I live here in Toronto, but I'm very active with my community, as Jody kind of alluded to. So I've been on my own journey as well, reconnecting with my community, similar to you, Jody. So I've been reaching out, and they were kind of like my lost family, if you will. But I have to say, they've welcomed me with open arms, loving arms, and makes me think about that hug that we were talking about as well. So I wanted to help my community because, as we all know, our languages are all endangered. And so in Tyendinaga, they're building a new language and cultural center. So I thought, well, what can I do to help? Living here, I feel sometimes far away, but I'm still connected. And I also want to honor my ancestor, and Grandmother Renee talked about the lightning that helps us and cleanses us and is there for us. So my ancestor is John Deseronton, who was one of the founders of Tyendinaga, and his name actually means where the lightning has struck. So that really struck me when you were talking, Grandmother Renee, about the lightning. So what I did is I wrote 3 children's books to honor my ancestor, but also to help my community. I've been selling these books since September and donating the proceeds back to the construction of the new center that they're building there. So that's my way of trying to help and um, and reconnecting. It's been really a wonderful journey, and I've met a lot of people along the way, and supportive friends and family, and Jody interviewed me a couple of months ago, and we talked about that journey, and just sharing again with you. It's wonderful to be here. So I'm very grateful. Speaking of being grateful, Jody, I could really relate to what you were talking about earlier about lying in bed and thinking about what you're grateful for. So my daughter taught me that one, and she calls it her medicine. So talking about medicine and healing. So I wanted to share that with everyone tonight, that I'll do that. And I'll, especially the last few weeks, it's after Christmas, you're kind of coming down, it's cold. Sometimes you're not having a great day. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have my medicine, and I'll lay there and I'll think about all the things I'm grateful for and what I'm happy for. And it works, having that daily medicine. And it's not even a meditation. It's really like thinking about it. It's an active gratitude list in my mind, and it works. So yeah, my daily medicine really works well. So a little bit about me. So I do live in Toronto. I have 2 children as well. They're grown up, and I was a single parent for most of their lives as well. So I'm like so grateful for my daughter Stephanie and my son Matthew, now in their 20s. And I dedicated my 2 books to my children. What else do I do? Well, I work for Canada Post, which is a Crown corporation. It's one of the largest in Canada's. And I'm proud to say that we have an Indigenous and Northern reconciliation strategy that I've been actively involved in. I've joined an Indigenous reconciliation group at work where we're elevating Indigenous voices. And I've been really involved with the community that way and trying to give back, and building awareness and education within this large Crown corporation. That's really important to me. So I think, with that being said, maybe I'll pass it over to back to you, Jody. And again, thank you. I'm really grateful that you thought of me tonight, and I'm honored to be here. So thank you. Yawan.
Nyawa. And I look forward to us hanging out. We're supposed to be going to a concert soon, so that's fun.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That'll be fun with our friends. That would be wonderful. Yeah. Should we talk about it later to let the people know that maybe they're interested in coming too?
Yeah, we can. Well, you might as well just mention it now before we talk.
Sure. So what we're hoping to do is on May 2nd, I feel like I'm giving a plug, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
To Digging Roots. And actually, I had the honor, I'll just mention this, Digging Roots and Asanabi, but Digging Roots actually also had a concert for helping to build the Language and Cultural Center for Tyendinaga. And I was invited to join them in Picton. When was it? September the 24th. They actually had a concert at Base 31. It was just incredible. What a great couple. And I just love their music. And they donated their proceeds from the concert and all their merchandise sales, everything, to the Language and Cultural Center. And then I was invited by Callie Hill, too, who's the executive director there, to come as well to Base 31. And I sold the books there, too. And so it was just it was a great event because it was the 2 communities coming together. So it was Picton and Tyendinaga. Really, they're just across the Bay of Quinte, joined by a bridge. But I don't think they've done very many of these community events. And, I just felt really, really welcomed. And it was really nice to see the community from Picton and Tyendinaga there together. I'm hoping that they'll do more events like that, because I would love to go. If anyone's listening, they know I would love to go. We've talked about it. And then Asanabi, I'm hoping I'm saying his family name correctly. But anyway, he's an Indigenous singer, Ojibwe Cree, and I just love his music. And so Jody and I are planning to go March 2nd at the Access Club. So really looking forward to that. So it'll be fun. If anyone would like to join us, we will be there, and it will be so much fun. So now I'll pass to Jody. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Pamela. You're so sweet. And Faith Hale. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Like, just knowing that I can reach out to some girlfriends and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Even though you're across the nation, you want to get together for a chat. Like, this is amazing, and I appreciate you so much. Faith.
Doja Jody. Grateful, Grandmother Renee, to hear the Thanksgiving address, and just how grateful we are. And that's the beauty of meeting Andrea and Pamela tonight in this setting, being the moon. And when Jody first contacted me, I was like, of course, I'm going to talk about the moon. I'm going to talk about the goodness that we have. I mean, I say this often. We're privileged. We're alive, right? We're breathing. So the most important thing I think today in the introduction is being a grandma. I had the kids over tonight, Jody, and they brought the baby. The baby's 3 months, February the 8th. So he was here. He's the youngest of our family right now and takes all the attention. And I don't get to see him that often. So that little baby being in the house really brought a lot of energy, and emotion. And at the same time, being that I'm Mandan Hidatsa from North Dakota, just so you know, been this part of Turtle Island almost 40 years, learning an Anishinaabe territory, and I want to recognize, Potawatomi, Ojibwe, Lenape, and if you're out there listening, I'm pronouncing it correctly, but wonderful teachers that I've had over these many years of spending time here. And Jody, I've done a lot of research with grandmothers, knowledge holders, keepers over time, really considering, what is Minamabazuin in the language, living a balanced, good life. And in my professional work, I work with early learning and care in an urban setting. So we have 7 child cares and 4 early on centers, working with families and children for better part of almost 40 years now as well. And what does that look like? And seeing over those many years the transformation of our people in Ontario. So when I think about what is it to be a grandmother today, it's a privilege. It's a big privilege. And I feel that. I feel I had 5 children and that I birthed into this world, and 2 that I have by marriage. So we have 7 children and 8 grandchildren. So when you think about, the vast generations, right? When I think about these multiple generations that we're a part of today, and those 7 generations, and I always talk about, 7 generations. I'm living what our ancestors, Andrea, and you have set before us, right? So I'm always considering the ancestors and what were they thinking? What were they doing? And when I get stuck sometimes, even in my work, in my personal life, I go back to the language, and I don't speak fluently Mandan Hidatsa or Hidatsa. I know just a tiny bit of Ojibwe, and I'll ask the language people in the language, is there a word for this, whatever it is? And often it's not. They're like, yeah, but that's not really what SEMA means, because we call SEMA tobacco, right? There's so much more meaning to the language. And one thing I've learned, if we're looking for truth, truth is in the language today. And why, when people would say, oh, it's so important for Indigenous people to have their languages and speak their languages, it's not about speaking and having language. That's part of it. It's about living our truth. And if the language is the pure language of our understanding, which we call ceremony, our ways of knowing, our ways of being, it's really a key to who we are as a people in the past and going forward. So when I hear the language, and I ask those questions, I'll talk about culture. We never had a language that said culture. There's no word for culture. There's no such thing. Yet we're like, oh, it's my culture. It's not. And when I talk to the language holders, they say, well, the closest translation is really belief. It's our belief. And Anishinaabe Minimabazowin really speaks about the 4 sacred gifts: kindness, generosity, truth, and belief. And when a baby would learn that early on, a few minutes within being birthed into the world, and there's a little story that goes with that, if I can share that, Jody, that I've been taught over the years, is that before a baby comes, they have a relationship with Creator, that spirit, and they choose their parents. This is the belief. And when they come, Creator says, these human beings, the human family, will teach you kindness, generosity, truth, and belief. And we already had that when we came to the earth from the Creator. So when that baby's born, in the first few minutes, baby is born to this beautiful woman. And in its mind and spirit, oh, you're right. This woman, she was so kind. 9 months, she shared her body, 40 weeks with me, Creator. And for the first time, when that baby comes to mommy's chest and she eats, and he eats for the first time, oh, and she's kind and she's generous. She's feeding me, right? Sustenance. And for the first time, baby says, you were right, Creator. They are kind. They are generous. And for the first time, truth is born. Oh, yes, I believe now, is what the baby thinks. So in that first few minutes of life, we learn kindness, generosity, truth, and belief. It's just that quick. So when we think about in the language, what that means is, when we have a belief and we live and dress and talk and eat and come together, people see who we are. They see who you are. And that's what they see is culture, the practice of belief. So today I hold that so dear, because when I get the idea in my thinking, in the English language or other languages, they're not as honest, when we think about it. So I also love about the language is there are no put down words. The words are so pure that it's just medicine. It's just that good life, Minimabazowin. So when I'm working and researching and building frameworks for our people, what I realized is that there isn't anything that we're going to create today that isn't our way of being and knowing. And I remember years ago, probably was Tom Porter, when I was learning with him, that he said, I believe it was him, that present day research would lead back to Indigenous ways of knowing and being. We just need to remember in practice. I'm like, I'm in. So it's all of that. I believe today is where we're going to find our peace. And when I think about the framework, Minimabazowin, living the good life, and there's many frameworks. There's many ways that we did this. And I ask people often when I'm through reconciliation, I ask people, what did we do before contact? How did our people, what did we die of? And I'm speaking to public health and doctors. They're like, I don't know. Old age? Absolutely. And wounds. We had no dis-ease, no disease. And disease is trauma born. So when we deal with our trauma, and that's colonial policies and how they've impacted our lives, that we can actually reverse dis-ease, disease. So we never had that before 500 years plus. We didn't have it. We died of the common cold and smallpox blankets in huge numbers. And people are like, I wonder what that was. Well, we didn't have trauma. We didn't have all that dis-ease. So when we think about where are we going, is really just understanding the people that we were and that we lived in such a good way, coming together in community and the human family. Like I think about this a lot, Grandma Renee, right now, is the different families. We were human family. That's it. There wasn't race and there was people in different parts, but we were human family. We knew how to come together with humans. And then you had plant families and animal families. We respected that, right? So when I think about today, what social justice is, when I'm thinking social justice, I can only just think about our ways, being human. Let's be human. Let's be kind. Let's be generous, right? Let's just have that truth and all of that goodness, and we're going to be okay, human family. So yeah, I really believe that is who we are. I really believe that, and I'm excited about our future generations. That I believe these children are moving forward. That understanding of being human and wanting to be together. And maybe it's the practice of this coming together, how to be in a relationship, whether it's here virtually or when we enter each other's homes, that you're offered a beverage, that we sit. I can tell you, we didn't need Tim Hortons and all those places because it was your house. And I can remember growing up, and I don't know how many uncles and aunties I had. They weren't even blood relatives, but they were the human family, and they came to the house and they had coffee. Some would bring donuts, someone would bring some meat or whatever. And I just always knew family and community and that support. So I look forward to those days that we're here, yes, women, picking this up. And I learned something I think I do want to talk just a few more minutes about was, this year learning, because I always would talk about women, the keepers of civilization, born whole and complete, 400 eggs, right? We birth everything into society. We have that responsibility. It's big. And I always wonder, what do the men do? What do the men do? And a grandmother shared with me not too long ago, and it was beautiful, that men are the protectors of women's hearts. How about that? Not all women, not their women, the protector of women's hearts. There's a lot of balance in that. There's a lot of balance in that. So I've been reflecting on that what does it look like to be the protectors of women's hearts? So that's pretty powerful when you think about a woman's heart and the love that women have for civilization, birthing everything into society. So we have a little bit of work to do, but I believe we're on that path and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that Renee, Grandma Renee always brings up and mentions the men in everything that we do, in our ceremony, brings up everything. Thank you for sharing that, Faith. It was beautiful. I want to, before we close, and Renee, if you'd like to share, because you just did your opening. I know you have some goodies to share about the water, or share something. I think we can go a few minutes longer. There are some messages, people that have, I didn't want to plop them up on the bottom of the screen, but I will. When it, Renee, you can talk, and they're just beautiful words to, of gratitude for the words that you've shared. So I'll put them up when a few minutes into Renee sharing.
It's so wonderful because when Grandmother Moon appeared, we would be in a woman's lodge, and this is so important for our young girls, and how we talked about nurturing, how we talked about single parenting. Well, single parenting has always been there. And the men, they were the uncles, they were there to take care of us. And so we shouldn't be sad, Most of us were single parents, but some of us are, but you have your brothers. You have your brothers and you have your father that would step in and be that support. And that's why we always said it takes a whole community to raise a child. And today, a lot of young people, we need to bring that back to them, that understanding of taking care of their seed. And when they're given a seed, um, there are going to be challenges. To be a parent is the toughest job because you got to learn how to say no. No to yourself first. No, I can't have that. No, I can't do this because my baby is here to protect me. I'm to protect the baby, but in a sense, the baby came here to protect you from a lot of future addictions. And that plays a very important role. And one of the most important things we're always reminded of, I heard it so many times, that the love, the language of love. And that's what a baby came here, was to remind us of that language of love. And I always tell I come from a large family, and I says, I am the child of love. And because I have many siblings, I said, my mom and dad were so in love that they had to see if it was true, and they had to have another one and another one and another one and another one. So I said, I was born in love. But this is what every child, we need to tell our children, and I like how Andrea talked about the Gaiwea, how that 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 plays a very important role. It talks about parenting in there too. It talks about, you're not supposed to be arguing in front of a child. You're not supposed to be carrying a child of love and have hurt and anger in there, because we have to take care of that seed. And if you're a garden, and a lot of people says they can't have plants, well, that plant is, as they say, is our seed. And we have to say kind words all the time. We always have to say kind words. And that's why you rub your belly. You rub your belly, and when you got a sore belly ache, you always learn how to love yourself. And so that baby is in there, in your that place of love. And that baby, gosh, we cry when that baby comes out. We cry, and that baby knows us. And when we start talking to that baby, when the baby's in the womb, hello in there, I'm your grandma. Hello, I'm your uncle. That's what my uncle did to me, to my children. So I think we should have this on a regular basis, because it can help the young mothers, the young ones that are going through challenging time, that want to give up. Look at us. We're here today. Look at your grandma. She never gave up. She's here. She had a lot of challenges. And yes, while we didn't have the diapers you have today, we were just talking about diapers and cloth diapers, cloth diapers. And when my mother said, that's the way I keep our wedding band really shiny, was when we were scrubbing it. So I often think about there, because it was a young girl a young mother. She was thinking about having cloth diapers, and I said, oh, they're the best kind. And so I think we should invite all the young mothers that are, because they need us. They need us. They need a grandma. They need an auntie. They need someone to, even for those that have children, because every moon phase has an effect on us. And if we don't handle it in a good way, our children are going to be bullies. Their children are going to cause disease in their own bodies. So we have to be very, very careful, and we have to always give love. Always give love. And so those children, this is why we have to, a grandma has to remind, that's just like my grandma, you may be carrying a leader. And I go, wow. You'll be carrying somebody that's going to be special in your community. And so you go, wow, you are carrying a very important seed. You never know what they're going to be. And so that made me feel, wow, I was chosen to be this one's mother. It just, that gush of love just comes through you. And it's just like, oh, this one chose me. And that's why we need to do this more often and have those children know that they are loved, and just like the water, because that's our first home, is that water that is around those babies, the water that is in us too. So when we say those words, our water becomes nice and calm and peaceful. And when we're angry, our waters become very rough. And so right now, your waters may have, those 3 days prior, your water must have been pretty rough, because I can see it on a lot of people's faces. So I'm glad Faith mentioned Tom. Well, Tom was in our community yesterday, and he brought love back into our community, love for one another, and you could feel it when I walked in last night in the restaurant. There he is, holding court. He was saying hello to everybody, and he's just so magic, and so he's something else, and that's why he's an uncle, he's a grandpa. He's When I see him, I think of him as an uncle. And so tonight, what we have opened the doors. We have opened this door for you to be here with us on a regular basis, so that we can brush you off. We can do ceremony with you, so that
Mm.
whatever you are going through, know that you can get through it. Because look at us. We're here today. And look at the job the women have been chosen to do. And just think, you may be carrying that special savior, as they say, the leader that is to come and help our people. We are all here to help our people. And so, welcome.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I don't know if you saw me tag you, Renee, when because in my memory came up that Tom Porter. You had just asked me to come,
Oh,
and then my memory came up. It was exactly 6 years that we saw him. Remember, we went and visited
yeah,
him for
yeah.
that afternoon, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, so weird." And then Faith, you just mentioned him. Anyway, yeah, that was amazing. So. Andrea had to go because she's an hour ahead. She's texting me going, I gotta go. I have this new job. I didn't realize it was going to be longer, but she's amazing. She shared some really important messages, that I think resonate with so many of us. And I'm just reflecting on my story, my healing. And Renee, I just shared with you today about, why I'm feeling I needed to do this. Like 20 years ago, I had this experience that pushed me, gave me that little nudge to really start to understand where I came from, understand where my grandma, my grandpa, my family, who my family is, where my roots are, where my seed was. And I'm just so grateful that like everything that everyone talked about today resonated with why this happened today. And just knowing that back then the reason I started to do this journey uh, was to find out my beliefs, to find out the way that was going to bring me to my truths, right? To For me to just know who I am, and be this way that I was never taught, because it wasn't allowed. And so all of those truths that you know have made me just enjoy my life so much more, the smallest things, because of everything that was shared here tonight through these words in this virtual place. It just lifted my spirit so much. I hope it did for others that joined. I know there's a lot of thank yous here, so I'm going to just pop them up here. Pamela keeps popping in and out because she's in Toronto, and the Wi-Fi there isn't so steady. But these are just like beautiful messages that people put up here. This one was nice right here. Faith is speaking truth to power right now. And you do, Faith, so beautifully. I'm so honored to just say There's a couple of things that are coming up, and Faith has been mentoring me over the last like 6 months, and Grandmother's Voice, and a group of us on how to do really good work in our community in a good way. And so I'm really honored to have gotten to know you this way, and know that you're my mentor and our mentor. And tomorrow we get to share some information with the community that we've been working really hard at, and we have a lot of people coming. And so there's the in-person event tomorrow, and then there's a virtual one, and we'll be sharing some information that that's just kind of gathered. And what I saw, like I haven't seen any of the results. I just know what I've been doing in my community, not just in the last 6 months, but over 6 years, that it's everything that you talked about. It's everything that has, like, making connections and supporting people, and, bringing truth forward, believing in who I am, and believing that people want to have a healthy community, and believing people want to live in their best, in their best way, and just, and it's happening. It's happening.
Mhm.
And, I'm just really honored that, that I was that seed. I was the seed, right? And I was being supported. And this is, you're all supported. All of these stories that we shared tonight, we do it because we're supported. And it's just really amazing that that we get to do this. Oh, that was too fast on that one. I got excited. Look at it, it was long. This, like, isn't it so nice if I put these up and showed them as we were talking, we'd never get this done. This would sideline us, because it does me. I stop and I'm just like, reading some of these, and but I feel like they're all here. So part of me feels like, do we let them, pop up when they pop up, or do we filter them? That'll be something that we decide later. So I don't know if anybody wanted to share some, just some closing words, and, saying goodnight.
I will. I want to close with this thought that as truth comes up in your life and honors you, it's like a kiss almost from the past and present, all that. It's really about reinventing. We have the permission to reinvent ourselves on truth, and it's okay. And I think people forget that as we grow, and Grandmother, why we do what we do is really just learning. This is a learning journey for all of us. So, I encourage you to reinvent yourself. You're going to get information. You're going to learn something here. And I want you to put that into your life and to honor that space in you. And it's okay. It's okay that you're learning something, bringing it into your life and owning it. So reinvent. I love that word.
Yeah.
Anyone else? You're all good?
I have one quick thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was at your event in Milton, I met someone and she offered to do a reading for me. And she did this reading and she kicked it off and she said she sees the presence of a lion in my life. And she kept going on about this lion. And I thought, a lion. I can't think of what this lion or who this lion might be. And you just told me who it is. So when you said you're a Leo, I thought, are you the lion? Maybe it's you, Jody. So I thought that was incredible because that was back in.
Come on.
Yeah, and then so she kept referencing this lion that's coming to come into my life. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I forgot to say it when we were talking. So yeah,
That's so
you never
amazing.
know. Like it was incredible, that reading, just what she shared with me, and that was the one thing she kept coming back to.
Oh, that's so awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I was in a reading. Maybe you never know. You never know. There could be another
You
lion
never
coming.
know.
But maybe we'll find one when we're out together.
Well,
So
just being in tune with that, spirituality and listening, and it just stayed with me. I kept listening and watching for the lion. So maybe you're the lion, Jody. So
oh,
anyway,
that's
just wanted to
awesome.
share
I'll
that
take
with
it.
you. Yeah.
If there's anything I can be good at, it's that lion and the Leo. Yeah. Anyway, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, no, she said I'll be, influenced by this lion, and it's going to be a big part of my life. And I just kept thinking, the lion. I don't know a lion. So
Oh,
anyway,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Ooh, now I'm an influencer. That one I'm scared. I'm scared for you. But I'm grateful, to have met you, Pamela, because you have been really, really wonderful. And we can never have too many girlfriends. We can never have too many sisters and people that show up about having, just show up and just being true to support you and hearing all the good things that you're doing and it's not always going to be this good, you know. I know this because there's been circles where, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be here today because I'm just feeling that, that move, whatever, all that stuff that Renee, talked about, and the waves and things that happen at this, that this time. But I think it's creating these spaces to allow people to come in to just be, and they don't have to say anything, but you can be in the circle so that you see yourself, and you see yourself in these spaces. So we can only have like 10 people on at a time. But if there's anyone that wants to come on here with us ever and share your voice and share your messages and just, just talk. Obviously people are liking this. So I'm really happy that you joined us this evening. And I hope that you take this and inspires you, because we are in a time, apparently. Google the moon energy. It's time to create something. So whatever it is that you've been feeling inside, the little spark, feed that spark, and make your fire brighter, and whatever you feel you want to do. And if you feel like you need support, give us a call. There's a lot of beautiful people in this community that are willing to to meet and show up for you. Now, I have a little anxious dog behind me that wants to be pet, I guess. I don't know. She's been all over the place. So thank you so much. Yeah. I feel like there's something else I needed to mention with an event coming up, because I don't know that I'll be back on this platform. We do have the if you've seen on um, our platform, we were sharing 101 Dewa Guns, a living heart legacy. This is really beautiful. There's a couple of dates that we'll be sharing. So watch our platform, some in-person events where you can actually put your love and energy into creating these drums that will be traveling across Canada to artists to do artwork on the front of the drums. And it's I'm honored that they asked Grandmother's Voice to be a part of this movement and this legacy of healing. And so just watch for that, because you'll have the opportunity to work on the drum. I'll put the dates out there right now: March 10th and March 28th. We'll be having people to come in and work on these drums, and that means there's some etching that needs to be done with with a wood burner. The strikers need to be made. There's a lot of beautiful things that need to be added to these drums to make it all come to fruition. So what we need is just love and really good intention. So we'll see y'all soon. Yeah.